Welcome into the Hail Varsity Postgame show, live from Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill. Nebraska falls to Michigan 30-27. Austin Jacobsen here with me at Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill. As I mentioned, Austin, that's a tough one. That is I
didn't enjoy that.
No, that felt a little bit like a colonoscopy. Not having a good time this afternoon. Yeah. Unfortunately, we were not sedated.
Yeah, I mentioned
for that process.
I said it earlier that give credit to Michigan first and foremost. That fourth quarter and third quarter, they dominated that round. Fourth quarter, an 8.5-minute drive to kind of close out the contest. That was the backbreaker. And you can point to 3 significant plays in that fourth quarter last drive that they kicked a field goal to go up 2 scores that essentially ended the game for Nebraska. Huskers responded when they needed to. They made big plays. They had big plays, but 3 rushing touchdowns of more than 40 yards are going to kill you.
Yeah, I mean, I think you can look at this game and listen, there's a lot of hot takes on Twitter. There's already, I know, some hot takes in the chat as well. You can join us and chat with us on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, however you want to consume the show. But I think what the biggest thing for me is this basically came down to, I think, 4 plays.
Okay.
Right? You had 3 long touchdown runs, as you mentioned, the 75-yarder by Justice Haynes, the 50-plus yarder by Marshall, and the 37-40-yarder by Underwood. And then you've got the very first drive of the game where they don't convert on 4th down and they don't get any points out of that.
Yep.
4 plays to me. That's the difference in the game here. Let's say you get 7 on that first one, 6, 7 points on that first one, and then you get a stop on a couple of those runs. We're talking about a very different ball game here. So yep. I know if ifs and buts were candy and nuts, we'd all have a Merry Christmas. I understand that, right?
Yep.
But we talked a lot about this week on the morning show about not everything has to be an indictment on the program. I think we have a really hard time as a fan base getting ourselves out of the mindset that every loss, every mistake, everything that happens means, oh no, nothing good can ever happen again. And I'm going to be honest, I'm sick of it. I'm tired of living in that space, if I'm being totally honest. I'm seeing it a lot on Twitter when I'm interacting with people. I'm seeing it in the comments already. I'm seeing it with people messaging me. I'm tired of living in that space. That's probably not where we're going to live on the Hail Varsity Postgame show, if I'm certainly not. I'm not going to speak for you. You can do whatever you want.
Okay, sounds good.
I'm not going to live in that space because I don't think that's true. Listen, Is it a super frustrating game? Absolutely.
Yes, 100%.
Right?
Yep.
Is that drive in the fourth quarter where Michigan salts almost 9 minutes of the clock away? They get a field goal out of it. You have 3 third and longs in a row that get converted for Michigan that extend the drive, and it felt like you're just slowly bleeding out. Yes, incredibly frustrating to experience that in real time. But that doesn't mean, listen, look at the rest of the game. Look at everything else in that game.
Yeah.
The frustrating thing for me here is I think Nebraska is going to look back at this and say, why didn't we make Bryce Underwood beat us with his arm?
Yep.
Because it was pretty clear he couldn't.
Yep. He was a great athlete at quarterback today, that's for sure.
And listen, he's got a great arm.
Yep.
He's got a strong arm. I think he's got a lot of arm talent. I don't think he's there yet. I think Nebraska made a huge mistake by not just loading up on the run and saying, hey, good luck, beat us with your arm. I think he had 105 yards passing, 12 for 22, 0 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, 4.8 yards per attempt. If I'm Nebraska and I'm looking back at this tape, outside of the tackling, outside of schematically, I think they largely did pretty well.
Yep.
The one thing defensively, the one thing I would nitpick at is I really, really think they should have loaded up against the run and made Bryce Underwood beat them with his arm. I don't think he's capable of it at this point in his career. Will he be at some point? Probably.
Yeah.
I don't think he's capable of it at this point in his career. That's the thing I think they're going to look back at the most and say, hey, I don't love I don't love our decision there schematically. The rest of it, I think, was execution. Execution can be fixed.
Yeah.
You got to tackle a little bit better. Obviously, the offensive line was an issue, although look at the last drive of the game where they scored the touchdown.
Yep.
Dylan was pretty clean. And honestly, if you look largely in the second half, was much cleaner in the second half than he was in the first. Now, there were some untimely sacks there For sure.
Which obviously that's the biggest talking point right now in our comment section and probably to the discussion in the locker room right now. I mean, the offensive line struggled. And those sacks were in different varieties and different ways. Some of them felt like physicality. Some of them were schemed. Some of them were just downright being just blown off the ball. Other opportunities felt like they were just guys who were lost in space.
Yeah.
They were switching out tackles. I actually thought guard center guard didn't play terribly today in terms of the pass, but the outside edge rushing was significant. And any moment that a linebacker had an opportunity to get on a running back and try to come through a blitz package, or maybe there was an opportunity for an outside rush edge to pin Dylan back, either Dylan not being able to have the opportunity to step up or not stepping up himself and not being able to move away in his own pocket prevented Nebraska so many times from hampering what could have been a sustainable offensive drive. And we saw that so many times in this game that I made the comment to you while we were sitting out here that there were so many times that Dana Holgerson's offense just started to get tuned up, and you could feel, all the symphony instruments starting to like tune up, and everyone's getting all worked up and ready to roll. And then you get a sack, and then they go backwards, and then we have a draw, and then it's a screen pass that goes for 3 yards, and then it's a punt. And Nebraska just couldn't keep in that same rhythm over and over again. And these back-breaking sack plays that happened 7 times today, Ravi, 7 times. It's not acceptable. And it's not acceptable for a team that faced a defense that was getting 2 sacks per contest, which isn't terrible, by the way, but was in the middle pack of the Big Ten Conference entering today. Now, is Michigan's talent better on the outside than Nebraska's offensive tackles? Maybe. But whatever Nebraska tried to do on their outside tackles in their pass protection was not working tonight.
Yeah, I mean, so obviously there were some issues at tackle, for sure.
Yes.
Right? Here's the other thing, though. If you look at, and I'll be interested to talk when we get to Matt Verzal at that Friday of this upcoming week on the morning show, because there's a thing that I was noticing during this game. And yes, I'm not making excuses for the offensive line. They had to be better and they weren't.
Yeah.
I would say a minimum of 3 of those sacks, maybe more, but at least 3 of the sacks were a direct result of Dylan not stepping up in the pocket.
And I agree.
Climbing the pocket.
Yep.
Like if you're going to get beat as a tackle, you want to get beat to the outside so your quarterback has an opportunity. They forced guys outside and pretty far up. Now, you would have liked it that they didn't allow him to pinch back at the end of the pocket. But
yeah, I mean, listen, that was the most impressive part from Michigan's pass rush, because it was like a teardrop formation that they literally pinned at the top.
They were able to close back in on Dylan, but he had lanes and opportunities to climb the pocket and give himself a chance. And he didn't do that time and time again. So offensive line play absolutely had to be better. Dylan needs to be a little better too. That to me was one of the things where I think he's going to look back at this tape and be like, oh man, there were things that I missed there. Because now he needs to be able to climb the pocket and still keep his eyes downfield so that he can keep an eye on guys. It's not hey, climb the pocket and take off, or just keep your eyes downfield and throw the ball. He needs to be able to climb the pocket and keep his eyes downfield a little bit. That's the thing that I think he's going to really be frustrated with himself when this game is over. And listen, if it's 2 or 3 or 4 sacks that you avoid, maybe that changes the outcome of the game. What I know definitely would have changed the outcome of this game is if Nebraska's red zone execution had been better.
Yes.
They had 3 trips inside the red zone before the final drive, and they got 3 total points out of that. That's not going to work. Like minimum, you have to have 9 points there. And if you have 9 points, we're looking at 36-30 instead of 30-27.
And again, so to go all the way back, just to like bring this all into a bow, right? So like you're talking about red zone execution, the very first drive, you go for it on 4th down in that position, like where you are in the game. Everyone's going to point at the end and say, well, you could have gotten 3 points right there.
I don't have a problem with
the reason why they were set up in the opportunity to get 3 points that they missed then on the second opportunity was because they went for it on 4th and pinned them so
deep. Got to stop.
That's how you play the offense. Now, the second opportunity, when you miss a field goal,
got to make the field goal.
You got to make a field goal, because then Nebraska ties the game with a Heinrich Harper touchdown, right? Now, obviously, game flow is a lot different, all that other stuff. We could be talking into overtime right now, but no matter what the case was, you get 3 points right there, different game, and especially how you play that final drive. Michigan can bleed the clock all they want, but Nebraska still has 2 timeouts on a game-tying drive to go down the field.
Yeah, I think the things that I'm going to keep coming back to are tackling.
Yeah.
Like the tackling had to be better.
There were, in this 4th quarter, in the past 20 minutes that we got to watch that game, there were 4 different opportunities for literal one-on-one tackles or moments when a player could have made a play and did not make the play that allowed Michigan to continue a drive or for Michigan to get the final possession.
Yeah, like the tackling had to be better. DB said it during the morning show this week, is he thinks it's literally just going to come down to who tackles better.
Michigan tackled better.
In space, Michigan tackled much better.
Yep.
There were one-on-one opportunities with Emmett Johnson, with Luke Lindemeyer, with Ja'Cory Barney, with Mekhi Nelson, where they just tackled better in space. Nebraska, at those same opportunities, did not tackle very well.
Yep.
They got too much up to Justice Haynes, to Jordan Marshall, to Bryce Underwood. In those one-on-one opportunities, you absolutely have to tackle. That's number one. The second thing is, and I said it already, and I'm going to say it again, and I'm probably going to say it all week. I cannot believe they didn't try and make Bryce Underwood beat him with his arm.
Yeah.
Because I do not think he's capable of that at this point in his career.
You want to talk about third down conversions. They held him over in the first half for third down conversions, and then they started to force him to pass more because he couldn't get out of his own rhythm in that first half.
Until that drive that bled 8.5, 9 minutes off the clock, I believe they were 1 for 8 on third down conversions.
Yep.
Then they went, I believe, 3 for 4 or 4 for 5. I don't remember which on that drive. And a lot of it was because of tackling. I think you just had to put yourself in a position where you say, hey, Bryce Underwood, good luck. Go beat us with your arm. That's the thing that I think they're going to regret that.
Yep.
That's like, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they'll look at the tape and be like, hey, we liked how we played this. We just got to tackle better. Maybe. If I'm looking at that tape again and I just watch it live like the rest of you, I haven't been able to watch it back yet. When I watch it back, I have a really strong feeling I'm going to say, God, just put 8 guys in the box and see what happens.
I don't think anyone's from Nebraska Nation is going to go home tonight and be like, oh, man, that freshman quarterback really beat us today. He had a big run, but it was more of defensive lapse and defensive, misalignment or whatever you want to call it. Maybe it was just the wrong positioning, whatever it was, wrong play call. And Bryce Underwood obviously took advantage of it and did what he needed to do, and he scored a touchdown early coming off an interception from Dillon. That's a great play by a freshman using his athletic ability to get there. I'm not sure that there were any other opportunities that Bryce Underwood made plays that beat Nebraska. Nebraska was in the wrong position. Their running backs, and I will credit this, Michigan's offensive line is much, much better than what I had thought they were coming into this contest.
They're much better than they were at any point previously in the season.
They were dominant today. They were absolutely dominant.
That could be partly Nebraska's defensive line not stepping up the way they needed to. But that was the best Michigan's offensive line has looked all year.
It was fantastic to be able to just see what they were doing. Nebraska had opportunities to make one-on-one tackles in the hole on big run plays from either Justice Haynes or the backup. Both of them were able to run by defensive backs who were there to basically set up and make the play. And if they didn't make the play, Michigan was going to score, and that's what happened 2 out of the 3 times.
Yeah, it's a situation where I think the execution needed to be a little bit better. I would have strategically tried to set it up a little bit differently in terms of how they operated. I think you could say, what did Bryce Underwood have? Like 166 yards of total offense? 12
of 22 passing, 105 yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions. And then on the ground, he had 8 carries for 61 yards and a score, including 37-yard touchdown. So 166 yards.
166 yards of total offense. You'll take that, right? That's a number you'll take. Nebraska's pass defense has still given up, I believe. That puts them at 303 total yards passing in 4 games. You'll take that as well. I think if you're Nebraska, you would have rather had said, hey, if you can beat us over the top, good luck. Because here's the thing. You can structure that in a way where you kind of put a little, you've got like 2 high safeties. You give them, and I know Nebraska doesn't typically play that way, right? So I'm asking them to be a little out of their typical alignment. But if you say, hey, I'm just going to put a little umbrella over the top here, and then we're going to play man-on-man on the outside and say, hey, if you can make multiple throws to beat us over the course of a drive, congrats, you win.
Can I make an alternate argument?
Sure.
Nebraska's pass defense could be that good, right? That they are not allowing a lot of these, plays to get out of pocket for them. They have great coverage on the field. They have that sort of setup. They've played quarterbacks that have refused to be able to do that running quarterbacks just find more alleys in that way. Is that the case, or is it closer to the case now, 4 games in, what we saw from Michigan, that Nebraska's run defense is poorer and teams choose to run the football against Nebraska rather than throw it?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't really know. I do think the way you look at like what Brennan Sorsby's done since he played Nebraska, that's a guy that can throw the ball. That's a guy that, like, I think they wanted to throw the ball. He had over 30 dropbacks against Nebraska. Now he only had 25 pass attempts because he ended up scrambling some of those times in the fourth quarter. But they had over 30 dropbacks against Nebraska out of 65 total plays. They wanted to throw the ball. They tried to throw the ball. They couldn't throw the ball, right? So I think that's a big part of it. And you could even argue, like, okay, maybe that the pass defense has been so good because they devote so many resources to it. Okay, so find out, though.
Yep.
Today was a game you're like, hey, we've got a quarterback where I think he might make some mistakes. He might not make the right read sometimes. I don't know if he can sustainably make 10 to 15-yard throws to progress the offense down the field. Find out today.
Yep.
Like, commit to stopping the run and find out today whether or not your pass defense is that good, to find out whether a true freshman quarterback can beat you with kind of a base one-on-one man coverage with a little bit of shell over the top defensive back look. Like, I think today was the day to find out. And they chose not to do that. It appeared. Again, I haven't rewatched the game yet without, in the last 2 minutes. So I can't say that for certainty. As I'm watching it live, that's what it looked like to me. It looked like they chose not to put a huge emphasis on stopping the run the way. I mean, I would have overdone it. Like, okay. I would have overdone. I'm talking 7 guys in the box every snap and say, good luck, Bryce Underwood. If you beat us with your arm, we will give that to you. Yeah,
force the other team to say, okay, we're giving you every opportunity to beat us. We're showing you exactly what it's going to be. Beat us with this.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Like, that's the thing I think they're going to schematically. That's the only thing I think they're going to have a problem with.
And you know what? You're absolutely right. You're 100% right. Now, when you explain it that way, how many times in that final fourth quarter did we see, and we were getting excited because they were bringing Elite Eight, baby. I mean, like, it was 8 guys on the line of scrimmage. Everyone was going. Everyone was going to – they dared Bryce Underwood. You roll out one side, we're going to hit you. You make a throw and beat us. And
guess what? He couldn't.
He didn't. He threw it out of bounds on what could have been part of that extended drive, essentially. But then later on, what did they do? They adjusted. They made screen passes, and they put Nebraska in their worst opportunity to break a tackle and run through. Sierra Wright missed a tackle. We saw Deshaun McCullough miss a tackle, which is a damn shame because he played a hell of a game today.
Great game.
But then outside of that, I don't want to be full gripe mode, but we got to get all this out of the way, right? Right at the beginning. Small little moments of execution. Even at the end, you're losing the game. You bring in a special teams guru like Mike Eckler to do this sort of moment. When you needed 3 points, you have to be able to get the ball back. You bring in a guy like Mike Eckler to do that for you. Execution level was perfect from Cunanan to get the ball up in the air right in front of a Michigan player, 10 yards down the field. And the guy who's supposed to receive the ball goes behind a Michigan player.
Carter Nelson's got to go get the ball.
You got to go get the ball. You need the ball to win the game.
He had every opportunity to go get the ball. He went for the player instead, which I get is a lot of times how you draw it up. I understand that. A lot of times you say, hey, you hit the player, but at some point you got to be a ball player and say, hey, I can go get that ball. Like Ja'Cory Barney did at the end of the first half.
Went and got a ball.
Say, I can go get that ball. I'm going to go get that ball. I'm going to make a play to help win the game for us. That, to me, was the difference here. Is on defense, you had guys with opportunities to tackle, to make tackles one-on-one in space, make a play to win the game. They didn't do it. You had guys, Carter Nelson on the onside kick. And listen, you're in a position where an onside kick, it's always a miracle to recover an onside kick. I understand that, right? So I'm not going to harp on Carter Nelson here. But
again, you change your percentages. You had the right opportunity, but it's little moments of making the right play.
You kicked it the exact way you needed to go make a play. You had an opportunity. Somebody's got to go make a play. That's the thing that we didn't see on the onside kick situation on the defense when they were trying to get stops on that 8.5-minute drive. Like there were too many times where they just did not execute. And I look at that game and I know somebody snarky in the comments, and I get it. It's frustrating, but like, somebody snarky in the comments goes, yeah, you take away all their touchdowns and we would have won this game. That's not the point. The point is, on a consistent basis, Michigan could not sustain a drive. The only drive they sustained the entire game was that last one. And it was a backbreaker. Don't get me wrong. But they could not consistently sustain drives throughout the game. Nebraska's lack of execution on those big runs is what allowed them to win this game. That's what we're talking about. We're not talking about, if you take away their 4 scoring plays, it's not like we're talking about 5-yard touchdowns, 10-yard touchdowns where they've driven down the entire field. We're talking about one play drives, 2-play drives, whatever it is, and then they bust one because Nebraska didn't fill correctly in the run game or didn't make a tackle when they had to. Like the one on, I believe, the 75-yarder, Marquise Buford, that should have been a 8 to 12 yard gain. And listen,
not great.
You don't love it,
but you don't give up 70 yards.
But it's not a 75-yard house call.
Yep.
Like, you go there. DB and I have talked about this, right? I don't think Vincent Shavers made the right read on that, but he made the wrong read quickly, which gave Marcus Buford an opportunity to make the play.
Play fast.
Marcus Buford didn't make the play, right? Like, you got to get there. You got to get in the hole. You got to make a play.
Yep.
That, like, the run fits were not fast enough. It seemed like Nebraska was a little bit hesitant to fill. And then the tackling wasn't good enough.
Yep.
Like, that's what it was. And I think that's why I keep going back to, you just devote yourself in this game to stopping the run. 7-8 guys in the box. So you don't have as far to come in the run fit. So you've got more guys close to the line of scrimmage to make that tackle, to be there ready to go. So you don't have to make as many reads. They're just right there ready to go. Yes, you still have to win some one-on-ones. Yes, you still have to tackle and execute. But that's the thing that keeps coming back to me is if they had just loaded up on the run, maybe Underwood surprises me.
Yep.
Maybe he surprises me and beats him with his arm. I can live with that. I have a hard time living with the way the game went down.
There is a scenario in this case that Nebraska comes out the way that they did. They take the ball first and they put Michigan in the hole. They did not put Michigan in the hole early. You never made Bryce Underwood be that type of quarterback, right? There was no point in this contest where Michigan had to put Bryce Underwood in position to win the game.
Yeah.
He was always, and Michigan were always in control of the contest, despite some moments when it felt like Nebraska had both hands on the wheel. Michigan was always working the gas and foot. I mean, they were all over on trying to make sure that this game was always in Michigan's tempo. And you guys talked about it earlier in the week as well. That was going to be a big case. If you could get Michigan off of their game, Nebraska can win the game. I would argue that in the first 4 minutes of the contest, Nebraska had the foot on the throat of Michigan and had a chance to step on it very early, but a 4th and 1 conversion doesn't go your way. Not able to execute. You get a 3 and out, and then you miss a field goal. So the door's open. Michigan scores. Dillon throws a pick. Michigan scores again.
Yeah, that's the long touchdown by Underwood. All of a sudden it's 10-0, where Nebraska for the first 3 drives of that game, their opening drive, Michigan's 3 and out, and then their next drive where they missed the field goal, probably felt like they had a really good grasp on how things were going. And all of a sudden, you turn around and you go, wait a second, how did that happen? Right?
And yet, and for no reason, Nebraska still probably I felt confident still in Nebraska's ability. I looked at the 3.5 quarters remaining in the contest, and I felt like this is a game that Nebraska is going to be able to feel in control for. And outside of an 8.5-minute drive, by the way, Ravi, like we had mentioned in the fourth quarter, Nebraska still won the time of possession battle in this game. And I get it. Michigan had 3 explosive runs that took off their ability to chew more clock. That's how that works, in case you were curious in the chat section. But Nebraska had 33 minutes of time of possession. Michigan had 26. Even with the long touchdowns, Michigan still had an 8.5-minute drive to essentially close out and win the game in the fourth quarter. And Nebraska still was in control of the time of possession in this contest. They controlled somewhat of the flow of this game, but Michigan always was in control of their game. Nebraska was always playing from behind and never had an opportunity to set the tone for what the game could have been for them to have a winning formula today.
Yeah, I guess I'm a little, I don't know. I'm a little confused and frustrated with, I guess, some of the comments we're getting. I don't know if they're tongue in cheek. I don't know if they're serious. I don't know if they're sarcastic. I don't know what they are. I've seen a couple like talking about firing certain coaches here and things like that. And I don't know. I don't know how I'm having a hard time living in that space. Like that's not, it's not resonating with me at all right now. Like, I didn't look at that game and go, oh, wholesale changes have to be made.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I don't get that feeling either. And I'll be honest, I mean, every single praise that was given to the offensive line for the past 3 games, including the Cincinnati win that people don't want to give Nebraska still the credit for, that seems to now have gone completely awry just because they did have a very bad performance today. They did. Yes.
I don't know how you sit here though and you want to make wholesale changes and say, oh, this guy needs to go or that guy needs to go. Like, I'm having a hard time living in that space because I look at this and I go, okay, I mean, what happened in week 2 last year if you're Notre Dame and you lose to Northern Illinois, right? Like, were Notre Dame fans calling for Marcus Freeman's head? Maybe. I don't know. Is Nebraska going to go on a run after this? Maybe. I don't know. But I sit here and this happens in college football. It's not like Michigan is a bad team.
Yep.
Right? Is Michigan a national title contender?
Listen,
Probably not.
I got to give them their credit where they are now. I mean,
they played well. They played well without their head coach. They played well with a freshman, with a true freshman quarterback going in a hostile environment. Like, credit where credit's due. I still think Nebraska had every opportunity to win this game and should have won this game.
Yeah.
But I sit here and I go, okay, I'm having a really hard time figuring out, like, not everything has to be an indictment on the program. Not everything has to be, not everything is fixed by firing someone. I don't understand that thought process. Like, not everything is fixed by firing someone. I don't understand the lack of a context for what we've seen over the last 3 years. Like, I don't know how many times I have to give the example of Bryce Benhart, who not a soul wanted back at Nebraska, who turned into a valuable starter the last 2 years. I don't know how you can look at, like, Gunnar Gatula, who nobody wanted to start last year, was the third string left tackle, ends up coming into the game or coming in and starting 9 games last year and ends up having a good year. Like, I get the offensive line didn't look the way you wanted it to today. I understand that. It was bad. Even if I'm wrong about Dylan climbing the pocket, right? And all 7 sacks were the offensive line's fault, which I don't think they were, but let's pretend for a second.
Yeah.
Okay? Let's say I'm wrong. All 7 sacks were the offensive line's fault. You're going to take one bad game and say, hey, we have to fire the offensive line coach? Like, where does that get you?
Yeah.
Like, where does that get you? What progress does that help you make? And you're saying, I mean, somebody tossed a rule in there. I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about, man. I really don't. I don't know if you're being sarcastic. I don't know if you're just mad. I have no idea what you're talking about. But in what way do you think that's progress? Like, Nebraska, I think, is better than what they showed today.
Yeah.
This wasn't a great performance. They still had a lot of opportunities to win this game, despite it not being a very good performance, despite leaving a bunch of points on the field early, despite not executing in some ways they needed to, both offensively and defensively, right? All of those things are true, and Nebraska still had an opportunity to win this game.
Yep.
And I get that's where people are frustrated, but I don't know how you sit here and you go, oh, we got to get rid of everybody. We got to start from scratch. We got like, that's not how progress is made. I get we're frustrated. I'm frustrated too. I said Nebraska was going to win by 2 scores. I think they had every opportunity to win by 2 scores. I really do. Obviously, that's not how it played out.
Yep.
But I don't know how you sit here and you look at the schedule and you go, listen, they've got a bye week coming up. And dear God, is it going to be a long 2 weeks? I understand that. It's going to be a long 2 weeks before Michigan State comes in October 4th. But I don't know how you see a team that has a lot of talent that came in to Lincoln and won a game that Nebraska had every opportunity of winning. And you say, okay, got to make wholesale changes. Mm-hmm. I'm not this isn't watching Florida State go 2-10 last year. Like, this doesn't even look the same. I don't understand. I just don't understand it. I don't understand that thought process. Maybe I'm too much of a homer. I don't know. Maybe I like Matt Rule too much because he picks up our phone call on a Monday morning when he's not supposed to be on the show. Like, I don't know. Maybe I'm too much of a homer. Maybe that's why I don't get it. But I don't understand. Like, I don't, if you say that, have you made progress in anything in your life ever? There's setbacks.
Yeah.
Right? You go forward, you get setbacks. You move forward. Nebraska's continually moved forward over the course of 3 years. This is a setback. It happens. You have to continue moving forward. Now, in 2 weeks against Michigan State, after a bye week, and they've had time to look at, this is why before the season I said Michigan State is a must-win game. Mm-hmm. Whatever happens against Michigan, Michigan State's important because you'll learn a lot about your football team that week. You'll learn a lot coming out of a win. They'll learn a lot coming off of a loss, which is the situation they find themselves in. That's the game that you'll find more about this football team than today.
Yeah.
Losses happen. I don't know if you saw Clemson today. They're 1-3 now.
Yeah.
They were the number 4 team in the country coming in. They just lost to Syracuse. Okay.
This wasn't a loss to Syracuse, by the way.
Yeah. This is definitely a better team than Syracuse for a team that had much less expectations than Clemson did.
Yes.
This is what happens in college football. This is part of it. And listen, it's okay to be mad. It's okay to be frustrated. But you also have to understand this is part of how college football works. This is part of how programs are built. Now, again, if this comes up next week or 2 weeks from now, Michigan State, and this doesn't look like a team that's improved, or it looks like a team that's not ready to play Michigan State, I will have some concerns about what occurred over the course of the 2 weeks. Again, not necessarily an indictment on the program, but that's the place, not today, 2 weeks from now against Michigan State. That's where you'll find out whether or not this team is making progress. Because this, as a program, historically, over the last decade, has not dealt well with success or failure.
Yeah.
Success has put us up on a mountaintop, then we come back down. Failure has tended to snowball.
Yep.
So we'll figure out what that looks like in 2 weeks against Michigan State. And there'll be a lot of narratives and a lot of talking in between now and then. But I had to say something because like I don't understand that mindset. If you've never progressed in anything in your life, which I think most of us have in some way or another, it was never smooth sailing. It never is. That's not how progress works. I don't understand it.
Let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Is a tough question to ask because there's not a number next to Nebraska. And I know that was a whole different conversation 6 hours ago than where we are right now, right? But are the expectations for Nebraska's season still attainable after a game today?
Yeah.
After even the result and everything that we saw, every single thing that went wrong, every single thing that wasn't corrected, everything that everyone had fears for, the expectation for Nebraska's season still remains the same, does it not?
Yeah, it does. Because, listen, everybody in the free world except me and Will Compton predicted 8 or 9 wins.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
8 or 9 wins. Let me check the math here. Losing one game to the second or third best team on your schedule. The 3 best teams on the schedule are Penn State, USC, Michigan.
Everyone pretty much agreed to that.
Full stop.
Yep.
Right? Put them in whatever order you want. Penn State's 1. Do what you want with Michigan and USC. Those are the top 3 teams on your schedule. If everybody in the free world, except for me and Will Compton, said 8 or 9 wins, you could lose all 3 of those games and you're still at 9 wins.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Like, yes, everything is still on the table. Michigan State, Maryland, Minnesota, Northwestern, USC, UCLA, who is god-awful.
Right.
Penn State, Iowa. Right? Those are all on the table. Everything Nebraska thought the expectations were on the table. I just need people to have a little bit of perspective. I get that it's emotional.
Yes.
I get that this is gut-wrenching. I would have thought, though, like over the course, and I'm not trying to be flippant here, I'm really not. I would have thought that over the course of the last decade, that Nebraska would be have a little bit more calluses built up to bad loss. Like, this doesn't even crack the top 10 of most painful losses.
That's true.
Are we kidding?
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't particularly excruciating. It was frustrating.
Nebraska had an opportunity to try to at least tie or win the game at the very end of the game, right? That they had a chance to be able to do that with an onside kick recovery if they were so to get it. This wasn't a game that was ripped away from them. And I'll add this
Nebraska
too.
was chasing.
The execution, obviously we talked about with like the missing tackles and some of that other stuff that happened. That is frustrating. But Nebraska actually didn't make the same type of Nebraska mistakes we had seen from them previously and in other regimes. The taunting penalty on Michigan maybe gave Nebraska more life than what Nebraska actually deserved in this contest.
Sure.
Nebraska did not have late penalties that allowed them to move down the field and have a chance to be in the game at the end of the game that we've seen Nebraska do. Michigan did. The Wolverines won the game, and they deserve the credit because they made the big plays in which to do so. But the little mistakes that had always plagued Nebraska, Michigan was making in this game that allowed Nebraska to stay and get back into it as well.
I mean, look at last year against Iowa, man. Like,
yes. Yeah.
They had the ball and
Brutal.
They fumbled.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's not what happened. Nebraska was chasing. They ran out of time. They scored when they needed to. They ran out of time. They couldn't get the onside kick. Like, that's it. That is what it is. Like, this isn't the same thing. I get that the score looks the same. I get that it feels the same because of the frustration. This isn't the same thing. Like you said, Michigan made the late mistakes, not Nebraska.
Yep.
Now, Nebraska didn't execute the way they needed to. But that's a different thing than what we're talking about.
Yep.
And that's a different thing than what we've been talking about. Like, I understand the frustration. I really, really do. I don't understand the short-sightedness of, like, literally nothing Nebraska has been trying to achieve is off the table because of this game.
Yeah.
It's not.
Yeah.
Whether you thought it was 8-4, 9-3, or 10-2 like I did, also still on the table.
Yep.
By the way. Like, that everything Nebraska thought they could be heading into the season is still on the table. And I don't know if it's just like in the moment, the frustration. I don't know if I also think we have a hard time remembering that teams get better throughout the year or can get better throughout the year. I expect this team to get better throughout the year. This is still the youngest team in the Big Ten. I expect them, like Williams-Nwaneri looked really good again today. Deshaun McCullough looked really good again today. There are definitely places where they need to get better. I would say tackling on the second and third levels for sure. They've got a lot of young guys that could go in there and give an opportunity to try and get better.
Yep.
The older guys can have opportunities to try and get better. all but written off Deshaun Singleton. He's played very well the last few weeks.
And you want to talk about a guy that was cleaning up some of those leaky run plays? Deshaun Singleton. Deshaun a couple of times went in there and put a head down, and he was like, if you're not going to make the tackle, I will.
Absolutely.
I will do what I have to do.
So, like, even older guys, like Deshaun McCullough is in his 18th year of college.
Yeah.
Like, he's gotten better from week 1 to week 4.
Yes.
He's better than he was last year at Oklahoma. Like, these guys have still getting better. They're going to still get better.
Yep.
I don't know how you can look at this and I don't know what sweeping indictments you can have except, hey, Nebraska didn't execute at the level they needed to, and they're going to have an opportunity to show progress in 2 weeks against Michigan State.
Yep.
It's a super, super frustrating loss. It's also not at all the same types of losses we've been seeing over the course of the last few years. There was no killer penalty late to hurt you. There was no killer turnover late to hurt you. Michigan executed.
Yes.
That's what it was. That happens sometimes. And those are the losses I think personally are easier to accept. You don't want to live with any losses, right? But let's be honest here. That's the world of college football, especially now. You're going to have national champions with multiple losses. Look at Ohio State last year. Like, you're going to have college football playoff teams with multiple losses. That's the world of college football now. Undefeated is going to be fewer and further between. And honestly, like, that's not where Nebraska was at this year anyway. That wasn't I don't think was on the table for Nebraska this year. So I would much rather have a loss where I sit here and I go, that team executed better than us, as opposed to we shot ourselves in the foot.
Yep.
Like, that might not be the kind of progress you want. That is progress, though. Like, we said that was the type of progress we wanted in the offseason, right? We said, hey, like, let's just not be disastrous on special teams. Guess what? Archie Wilson was pretty damn good today.
Oh, yeah.
Like, he gave Nebraska opportunities where they were pinned back to at least try and reestablish some sort of field position.
And also, Cunanan, as much as, grief you want to give for someone for missing a first kick, that obviously a 3-point difference looks pretty big. He responded and came back and make all the rest of them. He did what he needed to do to keep Nebraska in the game as well.
Came back, made a couple field goals, made his extra points, gave them an opportunity on the onside kick, by the way.
Yep.
Gave them again, I know it's hard in the moment. Most kickers don't go 100% on the season. The best kickers in the world don't go 100% on the season. Like, is that a kick you need to make? Absolutely. Yeah. But, like, kickers are going to miss kicks throughout the year. You would wish it didn't happen in a game and that ends up being decided by 3 points.
Well, and again, not to get so lackadaisical with it too, but did Dylan's first quarter interception cost the game? I don't think it did. I know obviously it leads to a touchdown, but in the grand scale of this entire game, did the very first interception thrown by Dylan make or break the difference in this game late in the game? No.
Because what did he have? 3 touchdowns, 1 interception?
Yeah, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception, 73% completion rate.
310 yards?
308. Yeah.
308 yards. Yeah. So, those are, if you, I'll be honest, if you sign me up for those numbers, I'd take them every week. I would take, which has been consistent. Other than the interception, it's been pretty consistent from what we've seen. Yeah. Over the course of a season, that would give you 36 touchdowns, 12 picks.
Yep.
So more picks than you want? Probably. I'll take a 3-to-1 ratio, though. Pretty good. I 100% will.
Pretty good.
I'll take 3,600 yards and 73% complete. I would take that every day of the week, right?
Yep.
So, yes, you never want a guy to throw an interception. That is part of football.
Yep.
Right? If you're going to throw the ball, what do you throw? 40 sometimes?
41.
Right?
30 or 41.
If you're going to throw the ball 41 times, you're going to throw interceptions sometimes.
Yep.
He's thrown 1 in 4 games. Okay?
Yep.
2 of them against power conference opponents. He's thrown 1 interception in 4 games. I'll take my chance. I'll take those results. That's not where I'm super concerned. I'm not super concerned about Kyle Cunanan. I'm not super concerned about Dylan Raiola.
I'm not concerned about Ja'Cory Barney. Dude showed up.
Never concerned about Ja'Cory Barney.
No.
Love that dude. But
listen, if anything, you want to take a positive away from this game, and if you want to feel good, and you want to lay your head on the pillow and just be like, man, what a frustrating day. I wanted this one to go my way. You can close your eyes and just say to yourself, at least I know when Nebraska is going to need to make a play, I know who they're going to go to.
Ja'Cory Barney's a dude.
And also, spoiler alert, that dude's not 100% either.
Yeah,
and he's not been 100% for a while.
He's been limping since Cincinnati,
and he's still making plays like that. And yeah, you can say whatever you want. Nebraska, gets a Hail Mary. Maybe they get lucky, whatever. Position to make a play. Playmaker made a play. Yeah. Ja'Cory Barney made 2 plays in the first half, and Michigan said, that guy can't beat us. You got to find somebody else to go beat him. Mm-hmm. And Ja'Cory Barney is here to make plays. That's what he does. And I think you as Husker fans can look and say, what Dylan Raiola, what Ja'Cory Barney did from the first half to second half, especially Dylan and his improvement. I thought in the second half, he looked much better, even still taking some sacks, obviously. You could see the movement in the pocket and everything. You can look to say this team got better as the game went on. They just couldn't execute in certain moments defensively, and that's what's going to be frustrating. But again, it's like we have said from the beginning, what we said in the post game for Cincinnati in a win, that all of these things are correctable mistakes, right? It's not like we're looking at things and being like, oh my God, they'll never get that fixed. There's no way to fix this.
Yeah.
There are ways to be able to fix your tackling in the season. There are ways when you go into a bye week and you don't have to face anybody, you can improve on these things. Sometimes it's a matter of getting a different body in there. Sometimes that's the case.
And listen, I understand the concerns about the run defense. I understand the concerns about the tackling and the defensive line and all. I understand those. I do. I'm not dismissing those. Here's the thing. There's also not very many teams in the Big Ten that want to play you this way.
Yep.
When we looked at the schedule, we said this before the season.
Yep.
When we looked at the schedule before the season, we looked at it and we go, okay, if we're very, let's say the concerns about the defensive line are valid. Let's say they are. Okay. And you go, okay, I think they're maybe a little too small. They might get bullied a little bit. And I said, okay, if that's true, who are the teams that actually want to do that? And I pointed to basically two, Michigan and Iowa. That's it. That's about all. Those are about the only teams that want to bully you in that way with trying to take advantage of an undersized defensive line. We saw that today. Nebraska gave up way too many rushing yards. I understand that. And we won't see the last one until the end of the season. I'm guessing by the end of the season, the defense will be much improved.
Yeah.
I believe that
You'd
to be
hope so.
true.
Yes. Yeah.
I believe that to be true.
By nature of the law, you'd assume a team should be able to get better. Yes.
Yes. Assuming the young guys continue to improve, you would think that some of that shored up by then. Is that enough to be shored up to beat Iowa? I don't know. We don't know that yet. But there were only two teams on the schedule that I looked at and said, because people pointed to Michigan or to Minnesota, that's not really how they want to play.
Yeah.
They were a lot more outside zone. They're not trying to kill you between the tackles the way Michigan does, the way Iowa does. That's not really the case. I thought maybe UCLA, but they're not trying to beat anybody right now, so that's fine. Like Penn State likes to be physical, but they've got like their strength is their quarterback passing the ball, so that's what they're going to focus on. Like there's two teams on the schedule that we're going to try and bully you. We saw one of them do that today, and Nebraska was still very much in this ball game.
Okay, so looking at obviously offensive line play, people will look at the sacks as well, but I'll be honest, looking at the box score, I did not realize this until we started to kind of dive and look into numbers. Emmett Johnson, 19 carries, 65 rushing yards.
The running game wasn't nearly good.
Makai Nelson, 3 attempts, 19 yards. It didn't feel that way, though. It felt like Nebraska was able to get some yards, but in that second half, like we said with the Bryce Underwood thing, I think Michigan just said, listen, you're not going to be able to run the ball today. Beat us throwing the ball. And Nebraska got as close as they possibly could to beating Michigan by throwing the football, and they were as close as possible to getting there. But Michigan did their style of defense of saying, we're going to get after your quarterback, and they got after it. They got their 7 sacks. The adjusted rush numbers I don't have, but the total rushing numbers, 43 for Nebraska, 1.4 yards per carry with the sacks in there. Dylan ended up with 7 attempts, minus 49 yards because of the sacks.
Yeah, so I mean, I understand this is part of it, but if you're going with on actual rushing attempts, I'm going to do a little quick math here. So you got 43 plus 49, 92 yards on 24 carries. So 92 divided by 24. Listen, it's 3.8 a carry. It's not great.
No.
It's not the...
That's not their standard, no.
It's not the 1.4 that it looks like.
Yeah.
Right? I do think it's a little silly that in college the sacks get put against rushing numbers, but whatever, that's a different conversation for a different day. In the NFL, it goes against team passing numbers, not rushing numbers, but whatever. If you're going on true rushing plays, you're looking at 24 carries for 92 yards.
Still nowhere close to the standard that Nebraska wants to be.
Not good enough.
Yes.
Not what it looks like on paper, but not good enough. That's definitely a place where I'm disappointed in the execution there. That's a place where, especially early, Emmett Johnson had a couple chunk runs.
Yep.
Right? Early on in the game, that first drive, I would have liked to see them try and get to that a little more. But at the same time, when you've got Dylan cooking a little bit, it's hard to go away from the things that are working. I get that.
Yep.
So But
again, it's the same thing that I said, 15 minutes ago, is that on Nebraska on that first drive, everything was because of what Nebraska was doing. Nothing was because of what Michigan allowed them to do, right? It wasn't because, hey, Michigan's up. If you want to run the ball, we're going to force you to throw the ball to try to stay in this contest, right? Like, we're going to shut down all running lanes. You're not going to get it. That first drive, Nebraska, whether you want to call it, oh, well, it was on the play sheet, it's what they had already predicated that they were going to run. Nebraska was moving the ball up and down that field on that opening drive. There were already precursor signs as to what could come in that contest. Dylan was under duress a couple of times, had a couple of late throws that I'm sure he wanted to get back anyway. But the first drive still ended up on about, what, the 5-6 yard line? Mm-hmm. And they just go 4th and 1 and are unable to convert. Other numbers in there, too. Red zone, obviously, Nebraska was 3 of 4. Michigan was 1 of 1. The time possession, we've already touched on the turnovers as well.
Turnovers are even, right? 1-1.
How about this? We talk about correcting issues. Yeah, 1-1. Fumble for Michigan and interception for Nebraska. Nebraska, three penalties, 9 yards.
You'll take that?
Yeah.
What was it for Michigan?
5 for 41.
Yeah, I mean, you'll take
including one that was on a 3rd down play. The play was already over. Nebraska would have to punt inside of their own 10.
It was going to be 4th and 17.
Yes.
It was the taunting penalty that kept Nebraska's drive alive. I mean, I'll take that all day. Like, that's a much better effort from Nebraska. One of those was a false start by Pritchett, which we know has been an issue on the offensive line. But I mean, that's really but
also the false start. I mean, that was a half and half. Like that was nonsense. That was a crazy. Yeah,
that was total crap. I mean, it was total crap.
Yeah,
like that's an offsides or an encroachment, whatever it is. It's an encroachment, I guess, before the snap. That's a terrible call.
Yeah,
awful call. I think there's definite reason for frustration and disappointment. I don't want to, you got to feel however you feel about this. I get that. I don't think this is something I don't know. Maybe I'll feel differently on rewatch.
Yeah.
Maybe I will. Yeah. I don't, maybe I'll be singing a different tune on Monday. I don't know.
I'm going to put this up in our chat right here from Seth. Michigan disguised nothing. We couldn't stop them. I'm not arguing that at all. Michigan put head on head, hat on hat, ran the ball, and they forced Nebraska to be able to make a play. I mean, at the end of the day, they just played Oklahoma drill all day. That's what they did. Yeah. And just tried to force Nebraska and saying, our dudes are going to step up. Are your dudes going to make the play? There was some leaky yardage early. There were some other things that happened in that run game, especially early, that you could tell, I have a little concern. I didn't think they were going to bust off Roy Halou type runs against Missouri 3 different times in the game. But it happened. Yeah. And Nebraska had opportunities to stop those, or at least cut out the bleeding a little bit, cauterize the wound, as you would say. But they weren't able to, and they didn't. They lose by 3. They gave up 3 really big plays, but it was a game that there are so many different times that Nebraska has chances to be able to go back and look at and be able to improve upon because, again, there is the chances that Michigan gave them to be in the game. Mm-hmm. And Nebraska can be in these type of contests. I don't think it's an indictment on Nebraska. If anything, I am going to give way more credit to Michigan because I was completely wrong as to how talented this team was and how much better they are in the Big Ten repertoire than I thought they were. Credit for me in this contest goes completely to Michigan because they just put the ball into Nebraska's court completely. They walked into Nebraska's house and they took control of the environment and they handled it and walked out with a win. I honestly, tip of the cap, if nothing else from this entire experience, I tip the cap to Michigan because I think it was more about Michigan executing, making the plays more than it was Nebraska fumbling away a mistake like we've seen in years past and one-score losses like everyone's going to bring up over the next 3 days.
Yeah, I think this is a different type of one-score loss, and that doesn't make it easier to swallow. But
they didn't puke over themselves in this contest.
So that's the thing.
Yeah.
Right? Michigan went out and executed. Nebraska didn't execute to the level they needed to win this game. But to me, and again, maybe I'm crazy, but to me, I feel way better about that than if they had 10 penalties for 120 yards or had 3 turnovers or had these crucial mistakes late. Mm-hmm. I even feel better, and maybe this is nuts. I don't know. I even feel better about missed tackles than I do total busted coverage assignments.
Fair.
Right?
At least the Bryce Underwood touchdown run feels differently than some of the 3rd down late missed tackles or opportunities.
Yeah, where there's just the Red Sea parts, there's nobody there, and you're like, hey, feels like maybe somebody should have been in the middle 40 yards of the field.
Yeah, when the 80-year-old broadcaster says, I think I could have ran that in for a touchdown, it doesn't feel great.
And he's probably not wrong.
Yeah.
Although I heard Gary Danielson could scoot back in the day.
I'm not sure he's still scooting.
But, the issue is that's different than, hey, we're in the right spot. We got to the right spot. We didn't make the tackle. That feels different to me than, hey, that's a blown coverage. That's a blown assignment. That's a blown this. That's a blown that. That's a turnover. That's a penalty. That feels different to me. Maybe it doesn't make it easier to swallow for some of you, and that's fine. I'm not telling you how to feel about it. I'm saying from my perspective, that feels like you're in a different spot as a football team than when you're actively beating yourself.
Yeah.
It felt like today Michigan beat Nebraska.
I agree.
Not Nebraska beat Nebraska.
That's there. Yep.
And to me, that feels very different. Maybe it doesn't make you any less frustrated. Maybe it doesn't make you any less upset. I feel better about that than I have about Iowa last year, for instance.
Yep.
I felt absolutely nauseous after Iowa last year because that's a game Nebraska had in their hands, had in control, and then they gave it away.
Yeah.
Like, pick one. Pick a game, right? Pick Colorado, what was it, 7 years ago or whatever the Adrian Martinez one was. Pick Michigan a handful of years ago. Pick Michigan State a handful. Like, those are games Nebraska puked all over themselves and said, here you go. That doesn't feel like what happened today. Maybe I shouldn't feel good about that, but I feel better about it than I did Iowa last year. Yeah. And I think Michigan's a better team than Iowa was last year. Like, full stop. I just do.
I agree. Yeah.
So, I don't know. Take that for what you will, but Michigan beat Nebraska today, not the other way around. Nebraska didn't beat themselves. I think that's progress. Is it enough progress? I'll leave that for you to decide. I think we'll find out in 2 weeks against Michigan State.
Yeah, listen, I'm not going to yell at the masses, just staring into the chat of hope. It looks hopeless out there. It's like a sea of unwavering negativity currently. But I mean, I agree with you. Michigan was just the better team in key moments, and they put hat on hat and they made it work. I do
want to do a quick shout out.
Go for it. Yeah.
I want to say thank you to Les in the chat because he says, Ravi, always delusional. You are the model of a homer. That's incredible because 8 years ago, people said I was a Creighton guy. So this is terrific news for me.
Appreciate you, Les.
Terrific news for me.
Top 25 scores just quickly. If you weren't watching earlier in the day because you're out tailgating, which, by the way, Memorial Stadium, a lot of people said some things about it in the offseason. I thought Lincoln showed up today. They did a good job. People being me, mostly. Listen, you can't make fun of me, all right? I've had a big weekend. Texas Tech took care of Utah 34-10. Tennessee handled UAB 56-24. Oregon State won the border war 41-7. Florida State handled business against Kent State. Final that just went about 30 minutes ago. Oklahoma handled Auburn 24-17. Ole Miss dominated Tulane 45-10. Big Ten scores from yesterday. Iowa beat Rutgers in a game
barn burner.
They tried to not hit the over as tough as they wanted to. 38-28. Today, or right now, late third quarter, Notre Dame is taking it to Purdue 56-23. I mean, we're talking about
listen, I need a backdoor cover for Purdue.
I mean, there's a high probability that could happen. Still scoreless with Illinois, Indiana. That one just kicked off.
Yeah.
Washington State 7-0 early. Washington early first. Michigan State, USC is on Fox tonight at 10 o'clock. We mentioned the Oregon game. Michigan obviously takes down Nebraska 30-27. And Maryland might have just put the final nail in Luke Fickell's coffin, 27-10 over Wisconsin. Now, remind me, Maryland must have been favored in that contest?
No, I don't believe so.
It was Wisconsin by 10. So
don't believe so.
Yeah, there's no backdoor cover for that one. But I mean, you look at this game, we always talk about this the past couple of weeks, right? Mm-hmm. This isn't hey, let's appear and look across the aisle and say, well, what did this mean for Nebraska when you look at it compared to other teams? Nah, today, Nebraska lost. But does that mean Nebraska's going to lose in 2 weeks? Who knows? No. But what it does mean is that Nebraska has every chance to improve and show that they can be better. Because, okay, let's play a new game. Let's play. I mean, what's the next measuring stick game for Nebraska to earn the respect back to get to where they were right here, right? This was a national scale tipping moment for Nebraska. We talked about it all week. It was a chance to beat the national narrative. It was a chance to beat a top 25 team. It was a chance to maybe get that overtime monkey off of your back. All that great stuff. They didn't get it done today, but when you look at the schedule moving forward and where everything is kind of falling in place for the Big Ten, we can start to make some very stark judgments of some of the teams in this conference.
Yeah, it's
November 1st.
Yeah, it's USC November 1st.
Day after Halloween.
It's a blackout game. USC November 1st.
So you got till November 1st to get back in that picture.
Yeah. I mean, you've got opportunity. And listen, like I said, I think you learn more about Nebraska in 2 weeks against Michigan State than we learned today.
Back at home.
I genuinely do. I genuinely think you learn more about who this team is, about who this coaching staff is. If you're one of the people that wants to make this an indictment, I think you learn a lot more about this team, about this coaching staff, about the culture, about their development in 2 weeks against Michigan State. Yep. There's no way to couch that. I 100% think that's true. And if they come out against Michigan State and they don't they don't look improved, they haven't shored up some of these execution things, then yeah, there might be some concern there on my part. There's no other way to put it. But you're right. The next measuring stick game in terms of national perception, because Nebraska's not going to get any credit if they go out and beat Michigan State.
Nope.
Like that's not it.
Well, then they're not going to get any credit because then when they go on the road to Maryland, no one's going to say, oh, this is the team that just upset Wisconsin, or oh, when you go out to a Friday night in Minnesota, no one's going to care about that, right?
Yeah, although, I mean, Maryland is 4-0.
That is true.
I mean,
beat undefeated teams.
Schedule hasn't been great.
Yeah.
If we're being honest, Towson, Northern Illinois, FAU before Wisconsin today.
Notable powers.
But they are 4-0. We like to call that the Indiana scheduling of the Big Ten. But they've got Washington in a couple weeks before Nebraska. They've actually got the same cadence. They've got a bye next week, then they've got a game, and then they've got Nebraska in 3 weeks. So you're going to have an opportunity there. I'll be interested to see what that Maryland-Washington game looks like.
Yeah.
Yep. Demond Williams is a really talented, dynamic quarterback for Washington. So that'll be interesting to see how Maryland handles them. But you've got a couple weeks here before Michigan State, and then you've got Maryland and Minnesota and Northwestern. And that's the stretch here. And that's an important stretch for Nebraska. Not nationally, but internally.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That's an important stretch internally because, make no mistake, we saw it last year. We've seen it every year for the past decade, basically.
Yep. Great point by Seth. Minnesota, for a Nebraska fan, would be a huge win. No one else in the country will care.
Exactly.
Yep.
It's exactly what I was about to say. Those are games over the past decade that Nebraska has dropped one or more of those games that they shouldn't. That is a 4-game stretch that if Nebraska has improved, if Nebraska is on the path to be a nationally relevant college football program again, it doesn't start November 1st at USC against USC here in Nebraska.
It actually probably starts in about an hour.
Yeah,
it really does.
Honestly,
truthfully.
right? Like getting back after it, it starts in all these games over the course of the next month before USC. It starts against Michigan State, against Maryland, against Minnesota, and against Northwestern. Nebraska has not taken care of business against that class of Big Ten team. And I'm not saying that's a lower class. I'm saying that's the class Nebraska's been in.
Yep.
That is the middle class of the Big Ten that Nebraska's been trying to get to and surpass.
Yep.
Those are the teams Nebraska has to beat for USC to even matter.
Yep.
Right?
100%.
And again, nationally, nobody's going to care if you go 4-0 in that stretch. But locally, that's how you'll know there's progress been made. And then, yes, at some point, you have to go out and beat a Michigan or a USC or a Penn State or whoever, right? That's 100% accurate.
Yep.
But going out and beating USC doesn't matter if you can't go out and win these next 4 games.
Yeah.
Right? It doesn't matter the same way. Like beating the USCs and Michigans of the world, like beating Michigan today would have meant a lot less had they lost to Cincinnati.
Yep.
Right? Beating USC in a month is going to mean a lot less if they lose to Michigan State or Minnesota. Right?
Yep.
Like this is where Nebraska has to start. They have to start by winning the games against their peers in the Big Ten. And as much as I wanted it to be true, as much as all of you wanted it to be true, it does not appear that Nebraska has elevated itself, that Michigan is a peer yet.
And that is frustrating. And we're not, hey, listen, we're big therapy guys here, all right?
We're
validating your feelings. We're trying to help you feel this out however you need to, because you're yelling at your car right now. Don't yell at us.
Listen, I thought Nebraska could win this game by 2 scores. I genuinely believe that'd be 2. It's as rude of awakening for me as it is for anyone that Nebraska does not appear to be a peer of Michigan yet. It is as hard for me to swallow as it is for anybody, because I thought Nebraska had currently passed this version of Michigan.
Yes.
Right? So this is not easy for me to admit that, that obviously is not the case. Michigan consistently executed at a level Nebraska wasn't capable of, right? So then you take a step back and be like, okay, maybe Ravi Lulla skipped a couple steps here. What are the steps that Ravi Lulla skipped? Okay, it's the Michigan States, it's the Minnesotas, it's the Marylands, it's the Northwesterns. These are the steps you cannot skip.
Yep.
I thought they had done that, had gotten that point over the offseason. They hadn't. Okay, what's next? What's next is to take care of business and don't skip those steps.
Yep.
So that you have an opportunity again against USC on November 1st.
Because again, and I know, like we've said a million times, we'll have to keep saying it because, we got to talk everybody away from the ledge. No, come back. It's week 4. It's week 4.
Everything's still on the table.
When we get to week 10 and we look at a loss to Michigan, 30-27 at home, yeah, it's still going to be frustrating. We're still going to see the highlights of Michigan. Believe me, beat Big Ten or BTN in 60 or whatever it's called. They're going to replay that, and you're going to watch these highlights a lot. When you watch College Football Scoreboard or Live or whatever you want to see tomorrow morning, and when you look back at SportsCenter Top 10, you're going to see these run plays a lot. Trust me, it's not going to be easy for you to do. But when you get to the end of the season, and especially when we get to November 1st, there's going to be a grand opportunity for Nebraska to be right back in the same spot they were today, where we're arguing about their position on a potential poll, about where they are nationally rated. Why are they not getting the love that they deserve? Why is Dylan Raiola being overlooked in this sort of category? The potential and opportunity for another chance at a crack at a team like Michigan that we had today will have a chance to be able to go on November 1st. You got to get to those steps to get there. But when we get back, we as the collective, we as the Nebraska fan base, we as the Nebraska faithful that are rooting on this team and hoping for their success and was hoping for a final that was flipped in, the different discrepancy today, when that moment comes, Nebraska will have another opportunity to surpass that dragon and slay it. And if they do, then they'll have to give back the credit to where it was all taken away from them today. But until then, you're still chasing and you're still trying to find that. Because now, they mentioned in the broadcast, it's 6 straight Big Ten opening wins for Michigan, 6 straight losses for Nebraska. But notably, last year, you think about week 4 last year, that Friday night against Illinois team ended up being pretty good. And it was a game that felt a lot like this one.
Honestly, I thought it felt worse than this one.
You thought this Michigan game felt worse?
No, I thought Illinois felt worse.
I agree.
Right?
I was there. It felt worse because Nebraska, at the end of the game, puked all over themselves.
Yeah, I thought that was a game where Nebraska beat themselves.
Yeah.
I thought that with the execution and just wetting it down their leg in overtime, I thought Nebraska beat themselves.
Outside of that overtime, though, I think a lot of people in those stands would have felt really comfortable being like, oh, wow. If the game would have been Illinois, the same way that this one would have ended up, Nebraska scores late and just couldn't get an onside kick, people probably would have left the Illinois game in year 2 of Matt Rule just being like, you know what? Nebraska is getting better. But now the expectation is so much higher that it had to get to this moment.
Sure.
And Nebraska wasn't able to get the win because of big moments, but they didn't lose in the same way that we've seen before. And I think, if anything else, you have to walk away and wake up tomorrow morning realizing that this is not the same type of Nebraska team that would have just fumbled the ball all over themselves and not been able to pick themselves up by their bootstraps to stay in this contest. And then they did.
Yeah.
We said that they had to play from behind, and they did. But they kept it in the game. In the last minute of the game, last 3 minutes of the game, they were down 10 points, and they find a way to make it a one-score game and have a chance to get the ball back and potentially tie the game.
Let me ask you this, right? And then we can be done whenever you want to be done.
We're just rambling right now. We're just doing our thing.
We're out here, right?
Yeah. I don't want to say it's where the magic happens. It feels inappropriate.
In most of the recent seasons under Nebraska. Yeah. I mean, let's go back to Indiana last year.
Big moment.
Where things didn't get off to a good start.
No.
For Nebraska, much like they didn't get off to a good start today. That game gets away from Nebraska in a hurry. Yes. I get it's a road environment. I get it's a little different. But would it shock you? Listen, I don't think it's an 11-1 situation. But for Michigan, but would it shock you if Michigan has 9-3, 10-2 year? Would that stun you?
Not anymore. Not from what I saw.
What's Michigan's schedule the rest of the way?
Michigan next week, they're at notable Big Ten power Wisconsin, who definitely did not lose to Maryland, who they were favored by 10 over today. They play on the road at top 25 USC. They'll then host Washington. They are on the road at Michigan State October 25th, at home against Purdue, on the road at Northwestern, at home against Maryland, and then finally the game November 29th.
So much frankly, their schedule sets up a lot like Nebraska.
I was going to say the exact same thing.
You've got 2, and one of the teams is even the same with USC. You've got 2 games where you're looking at and you go, you have to probably look at USC and say, hey, that's a game you feel even in.
Yep.
If you're Michigan, right? And Ohio State's currently better than they are, but you've had their number. So you look at them and go, okay, let's say Michigan goes 9-3. Do we feel differently about this loss?
No.
Because I bet last year, if you'd been able to tell people, hey, Illinois is going to go 9-3 this year.
Indiana is going to go 11-1, be in the college football playoff.
I bet they feel, maybe not the Indiana one, because 56-7 is 56-7.
It was a blow. Yeah, it was tough.
But would you sit here and go, if you're, hey, let's say Michigan goes 9-3. You tell me last year before the game, hey, you're going to lose in overtime, but Illinois is going to go 9-3. They're pretty good. You feel any differently about it?
No, because this isn't UCLA from last year.
Okay.
It's not. No. Like it's like you lost to a very good team today.
Yeah.
Like I listen. I wasn't in the stadium today. Obviously, it was here, Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill in the Vista. But when I left the stadium against UCLA last year, you walked out and you were disgusted.
Yeah.
Because that was a game that should have never gone. Never should have been a game that Nebraska played the way that they did. And they did. They played poorly. This was a game that I feel like you can walk out and just be like, Nebraska definitely made mistakes, but they definitely were right at the level with a good team that they played.
Yeah, it didn't feel like a game they didn't show up for.
Yeah.
I feel like it's a game they got out executed on. UCLA last year felt like a game they didn't show up for. Indiana last year felt like a game that got away from them in a hurry.
Yeah.
Right? That very easily. Listen, I'm going to go. I'll go back if you want me to.
Please.
Got my old man sunglasses on my forehead like that.
The binoculars? The baby birds?
So I'll go back in the text and my mentions if you really want me to.
Oh, bro, you got too many messages during this game.
After it was 10-0, the number of people that were like, oh, Nebraska's getting blown out. This is going to get away from them. Yep. And listen, I understand the sentiment. I'm not hating because that's what's happened in the past. But that's my point. Nebraska goes from 10-0, tied at 17 at halftime. Okay? Even after that horrible Justice Haynes 75-yard touchdown after Nebraska tied it up at 10, they go up 17-10, and then, bam, Nebraska ties before halftime on that Hail Mary. Unless you can be like, oh, it's luck, it's a miracle, whatever. They still did it. It still counts. Those points still count, right? So I sit here and I go, okay, this is a team last year. I don't disagree with you. That very easily could have ended up being a blowout.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Every game that's started or gone like this in the last decade has pretty much ended up being a blowout. Maybe that's not enough progress. That's for you to judge for yourself. To me, I will take that as measurable progress.
Yeah.
Against a quality opponent where Nebraska very easily, this thing was like a whisper from getting away from Nebraska early.
Mm-hmm.
And it didn't. They reeled it back in. They were able to stay in it. They were tied at halftime. I tweeted out at halftime, hey, Nebraska has to feel incredible for the way that first half went to be tied.
Yeah.
You're starting back at 0.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That's a huge win for Nebraska at halftime.
Yep.
Now, didn't execute it good enough down the stretch. Didn't execute good enough early to put themselves in that hole. Totally agree. But this is progress. Michigan beat Nebraska. Nebraska didn't fold. Nebraska didn't get bus rolled after getting down early. And maybe that's not good enough. Up to you to decide. I'm not going to tell you how to feel about it.
Yeah.
I'm just going to tell you what it is.
Adam, I'm going to agree with you. He says doesn't matter, still a loss at home. I'm going to ignore the doesn't matter part. Loss at home is a bit tougher. If this would have been a road game, listen, if this game was in the big house, every single Nebraska fan that's so upset with us in the chat right now, they'd have been like, oh, what a way to handle the road environment. I mean, but I get it. I know what you're saying. I'm trying to be a mini troll for you right now. But on the opposite side,
let's be honest though. Let's be honest about the home thing for a minute for Nebraska. Nebraska's home environment has been a work in progress over the last several years. Until last year, it wasn't. I'm not even talking about fans. Yeah. I'm talking about whether or not Nebraska wins home games.
Wins or losses at home. Yes.
That has not been the case.
Yeah.
Right? Last year, it started to turn around a little bit, but you had the terrible UCLA loss.
Yep.
Right? And then, was that it? Was that the only home loss last year?
Illinois.
And then Illinois. A very frustrating Illinois home loss. But 5-2, I think, is what it was at home, was huge progress.
Yeah.
Nebraska, I think that was the first time Nebraska had a winning record at home since, I believe, 2016.
Yeah.
Consequently, the last time they had also won a bowl game or made it to a bowl game, right? So, like, until last year, the home losses thing was more of a norm than it was an exception. Not saying that makes it more acceptable, but let's not pretend like Nebraska's had Memorial Stadium on lockdown for years. Like, that hasn't been the case. So I get we don't like the home losses, but when you're playing good teams at home, sometimes it's going to happen. Like, I'm certainly hoping Nebraska takes care of business against USC in a month.
Yep.
But I'm also hoping that they take care of business against Michigan State, against Northwestern. Like, those also have to be games where you take care of business at home. It can't just be about the ones against ranked teams, against good teams.
Okay, we got plenty of other things that obviously we got to recover to our things. I got 2 left for you. You're going to be shocked to hear that Dan Coyote has a great comment. It was a great game, he says. It's not the same as other close game losses because Nebraska played to win and did not play to lose. The season's far from over. That culminates the entire argument that we've been making so far over the past hour and 15 minutes of this entire show. Yeah. Because at no point there were some moments, questionable offensive play calls in different opportune times. And listen,
sure, there's some frustrating ones for sure.
There was even that end of the first half. You and I were sitting in the main gallery and we were looking at each other being like, call timeouts, we're calling draw and screens and whatever, what's going on?
And it worked out.
It worked. I mean, they literally got a Hail Mary touchdown. And yeah, I'm sure that doesn't happen every single time, but clearly they had a reasoning for why they did it the way they did because, okay, so they threw a Hail Mary touchdown on a 4th and 1 with 1 second remaining. So no matter what was going to happen at the end of that half, Nebraska gave themselves an opportunity to score and allowed Michigan no chance to rebuttal before they walked into half. Pretty good opportunity, nonetheless. I like that. And also, the last part here, too, Seth in chat, who's been great and active on here. I really appreciate that. He brings up kind of, for me, just a different question.
Okay.
Because of that, the final score being 30-27, and you do not kick the field goal on the 4th down and goal in the first quarter, the very first drive, and you miss the field goal then later, all that stuff, right? We've already touched on this. Do you think that changes some of the philosophy from Coach Rule moving forward with the rest of the season when it comes to games like this? Because of, sometimes you get some scar tissue and it sits with you a little bit differently. I would argue no, because I still think, missing the 3 points at the beginning is frustrating. You want to take the 3 points, and everyone will point towards this final score saying, well, you get to overtime if you do that. The game plays out much differently with that field goal. A lot of things change.
I also, I like the decision to be aggressive. They have to execute better.
Yes.
I like the decision to be aggressive. I even like the play call. The little Lindemeyer shovel pass, I think, was a really interesting, creative play call. It has to be blocked better than it was.
I also think he was closer than what they gave him credit for, but that's
I agree. Argument. I don't think he made it, but I think he was closer than it looked. I like the aggressiveness, and I like the calculus of the risk reward in your head. You go, okay, we've got this here where we go, all right, we either convert and have an opportunity to get 7 here, or they're pinned back inside their 5-yard line, and we've got an opportunity to either get great field position, maybe get another safety, maybe force them into we saw a pick 6 in almost that exact same spot against Colorado last year.
Yep.
You force them in a position where they don't have great options. So the calculus of what's the downside of this isn't terrible. It's not cataclysmic. And so I look at that and I go, okay, I don't mind that thought process. I like the aggressiveness. I like the risk reward trade-off.
And again, we're talking about a 4th and 1 from the 6, not a 4th and 1 from the 41.
And
2 completely different opportunities.
Absolutely. And let's be totally honest here, because of that decision and the defense executing a 3 and out, that's why they had the opportunity for the next field goal, which they missed, and you got to make the field goal, right?
Yep, you got to make it.
But
execution.
We can't sit here and pretend like if they had gotten the field goal there, Michigan's then starting off in a different position on the kickoff than they did on the turnover on downs, that all of a sudden plays out very differently. So you're not going to sit here and go, okay, well, now they've missed 2 opportunities for 3 points and they would have won the game. That's just not, it wouldn't have happened. You don't get to change one thing and not change the rest of it. I don't have a problem with it. I hope it doesn't change his aggressiveness. I liked the play. I liked the decision. I liked the play call. Again, like a million things we've said today, they have to execute better.
Yep.
That's it.
Traven adds in chat, Rule said it in the press conference that he is going to go for it every time. So there you go.
It was the right decision. I think it was the right decision.
Ravi, Rule approved. Bang. All right.
Handshake meme.
Not to keep beating this horse has been dead for an hour and a half, but anything else that I feel like we've covered it. I mean, people got their gripes in. Everyone wants to get on that. All the scripted plays, all the missed tackles.
Listen,
the other part is too.
Let the frustrations out. That's what we're here for.
Everyone frustrate, all that good stuff. Here's the basis of this. All of the mistakes that we saw today as a collective, from Nebraska fans, whether you're in Memorial Stadium, watching on TV, from television stream, whatever you were doing, I think everyone agrees we all saw what the issues were, right? Everyone kind of saw, you missed some tackles. Yeah, you didn't run fit correctly, all that other stuff. This wasn't there's some X's and O's underlying groundwork thing that we're just not understanding. And I actually think in terms of a loss, that's a positive because that means it's just football. We can correct football. We can make that better. And also,
especially with as many young guys as they play. That's
my next point. There will come a time when if our old guys aren't making the plays, we got other people who can make plays.
Yeah, that's the thing that I said that last year with the secondary, and obviously the pass defense on the secondary has been much, much better this year.
Yeah.
So that's a harder conversation to have. I do think it's also worth remembering that you do have one of your starters out. Malcolm Hartzog hasn't played the last 2 games. I know we like Donovan Jones and the way he's played, but there were some of the missed tackles that were on Donovan Jones.
Yep.
Maybe Malcolm Hartzog makes those, maybe they doesn't. Maybe it's different if Sierra Wright is in his more natural position at corner than having to play the slot. I don't know. It's worth noting that one of those guys wasn't playing, and one of the young guys that we do like was playing. I don't know what that means, just pointing it out. And I do think it's going to be harder this year to make any changes on the back end because of how good the pass defense has been. I think it's going to be really critical for Vincent Shavers over the course of the year to continue to improve in that inside linebacker spot. I was a little surprised he ended up on the inside. It seems like his most natural skill is kind of as a pass rusher almost and getting downhill. Maybe that's why they like him there, because you can get him into some run fits. I'll be interested to see what they do with him moving forward. I'll be interested to see if they move Deshaun McCullough around a little bit. I thought he had a really great game. He had a bad missed tackle late, but overall had a really great game. But I think you're going to – I am interested to see if they move some guys around on the defensive line, because I do think – listen, if you're going to subscribe to, hey, we need bigger bodies, there's a guy that I like a lot named Dylan Parrott, who's 320 pounds, who I've only seen a couple times. But when I've seen, he moves really, really well for a 320-pound guy. I'm interested. I'm just going to say that. I'm interested in to see, like, if that's a thing that, like, maybe you start playing around with things on the defensive line a little bit. Maybe you see they were doing some 4 and 5 down linemen late. I'll be interested to see if maybe because I think you can get away with maybe a smaller defensive line if you're going to go 4 down linemen a little bit. Maybe they play with that. Or maybe they say, hey, we're good enough to do it this way. We just have to execute the way we know we can. And maybe that's the case. I'll be really interested to see what they do with that moving forward. I don't think we're going to see wholesale personnel changes. I will say
it's not that type of game.
No, absolutely not.
That type of loss.
I will say if we do, I'll be interested to see what the Buford spot looks like moving forward.
That every time I brought that up, that's one spot I'm agreeing with you.
I'll be interested to see what the Buford spot looks like moving forward. I
feel good about where you are offensively. I feel like everything that you saw from. I hate continuing to beat a dead horse. I just feel like it has to just keep being said. Like Dylan was not an issue. Jacory was not an issue. Rushing game can improve. That improves from an offensive line that hopefully gets better and learns from their mistakes and all that other stuff too. There will be on specific positions and specific people on this coaching staff and roster and starting lineup that will have some soul searching to do, but it's not the entire team that has to get back to their hotels or back to their rooms and be like, man, what are we today? They're a competitive team. They played with a top 25 team to 3 points.
Yeah, I mean, just real quick math here. Dylan will be at, after this game, 11 touchdowns to 1 interception. That's a ratio I will take.
Yeah,
pretty good. He'll be at 1,137 yards passing, which puts him on pace for 3,300 on the season, and he's completing well over 70% of his passes.
Yeah, he's right in the Dana Holgerson algorithm right there.
Dylan's been really good this year. He was good today. Were there some things that I think he could have done better? Yes, just like everybody else on the team. Like, would have liked to see him climb the pocket a little bit more effectively and keep his eyes down the field. That probably saves a couple of those sacks from happening. There's literally a thing for every single guy on this team that I would look at and say, hey, need to do this a little bit better. But I'll take that over, hey, they got down 10-0 and they rolled over. Or they had 10, 12 penalties, 8, 10, 12 penalties that really cost them and gave Michigan a bunch of free first downs. Or they gave the ball away a bunch and gave Michigan all these opportunities. Like, I'll take a bunch of guys need to get a little bit better every day of the week.
All right. Well, listen, I'm not going to keep shooting this horse in the leg if it's already dead. But appreciate Ravi, obviously. Check him out. Hurrdat Sports Live every single weekday morning. I have a feeling it's going to be a fiery show come Monday morning. We'll see.
Yeah, I'm really interested to talk to DB. I'll be really interested to see how he is processing this and how he feels about the game, because it might be. I mean, I haven't talked to him yet. Texted a little bit during the game when he had commercials. I'll be interested to see how much differently about this he feels than I do, because I really don't know. I have no idea, but it'll be a good week, and it'll be a long 2 weeks. And I have to say, on behalf of myself and all the Hurrdat Sports team, congratulations to you and Dr. Fiance. Yeah. Congratulations on the engagement.
Almost the best weekend of my life. Almost, but
we're so close.
We were 3 points short. So we're 4 points short. But
come on, Nebraska. Couldn't pull one through for my guy.
No. We tried, man. We tried. But yes,
congratulations.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Very nice.
Lovely people. Great dog parents.
Great dog parents. Yeah. Ava's going to be super pumped that we're probably going to bed now.
It's been a long weekend.
It's been a long weekend, but appreciate you guys. Also appreciate everybody in the chat. You guys are great. I know we're here to basically, we're just a vessel for you to be able to share the frustrations. That's what we're here for. We're just trying to talk you away from the ledge, but we'll get you back.
Therapy sessions.
Obviously, when we get back here in 2 weeks against Michigan State, we'll talk to you again live from Hurrdat Sports Bar in La Vista. If you so choose and want to hear more, or if you want to go back, see how you're feeling on Sunday morning, listen back. It'll be up on all of your Apple, Spotify podcasts. You can also check out the YouTube live stream on the Hail Varsity and Hurrdat Sports channels. We're back again in 2 weeks for Hail Varsity Postgame. Hurrdat Sports Live is back at 7 a.m. on Monday morning on all of your social channels. Make sure you check it out there. And am I missing anything else? I mean, I feel like that's all we got to do, right?
Last thing, as always, go Big Red.
Go Big Red always. We'll see you next time.